say that's
We're not
really
out.
funny.
Is this yours or is this mine? This is mine.
There was a big crowd, different crowd. But
So this is our 2-minute warning.
See, I heard it wasn't that. Yeah, but that was only on the inside. That wasn't.
2 minutes, Miss Douglas. No.
Okay, me and her sharing the computer. I'm actually forgot mine. It's in the other car. I drove the wrong vehicle.
I don't have that problem.
Well, I could. I've got this, and I got my pen. Oh, yeah. Oh, Sheriff is in that.
Just so everybody knows, North End Fire Department will be having a fish fry tomorrow at Pearson Park and, Saturday at Pearson Park. I forgot the time. I do apologize, but come and visit. I will be there. With a smile on my face, burning up.
All right, following that public service announcement, I'd like to call the September 11th, 2025 work session for White County Board of Education to order. Appreciate everyone being here tonight. For your informational purposes, Ms. Douglas is joining us by phone as she works to get Mr. James back on his feet and on the road to recovery. So we're glad that he's doing well. So we'll use this time tonight to review the items on our consent agenda as we start heading into our regular meeting at 6 o'clock. So consent agenda items were sent to you in your packet prior to the meeting, so we'll go through those and see if there's any questions or corrections we need to make on any minutes and anything we need to review regarding the reports that were given. So first we'll go through our meeting minutes from August 14th, our regular meeting minutes. Anybody have any questions, comments, corrections that need to be made on our August 14th minutes? Okay, then we'll move over to our work session. We did have work session minutes in your packet. Anything that we need to discuss, add, correct before we approve those minutes? Okay, then moving on, we don't have any policy that we need to discuss tonight. So there's nothing in our policy report, so that would lead us next on the consent agenda is a maintenance report. Didn't see anything added to our packet, but Mr. Alley's here. Maybe you could give us an update, Mr. Alley, on things going across the district maintenance-wise. Recording purposes.
I get to be a star.
Yes. You can be heard.
Hello. There you go. So this company is a company that it basically is made up of engineers, and they go around and find projects and help you work through projects. You can see they've been in business for a long time. I'm not a great salesman, but I'm going to tell you the things that I thought we needed to know. If I can get this thing to work. Wrong way. Ben Buckner's a person that I've been talking with. He's a tech graduate, really good guy, and he's a specialist in the two-pipe hydronic systems. Basically like what we've got at Woodland Park and at high school. That means that when your chiller's on, your heat's off, and when your heat's on, your chiller's off. he takes those systems and changes it to a system like we have in Findlay, that they can both run at the same time. So one teacher can be running, be warm, and the other teacher can be cold, and it takes care of both of them. Ben's a really good guy. I've had a lot of contact with him. I'm going to switch through some of this. Ben sent me all this. He said he would come up and present it, but I told him we weren't going to be extremely formal. Basically, their kick is that they can come up with our system, check everything out, and what he wants to do is a full energy survey, that they come up here and they check every one of our school buildings, they check every unit that we have, see what year they are, what model they are, all of those things, and they provide us a printout or a thing that says, hey, you've got so many 1980 model units that you need to replace, all of that type of stuff. This is free, by the way. They don't charge us for this. The last time this was done was 10 years ago. So it's been a while to do something like this. It helps us to know exactly where our weak points are and things that we need to kind of focus on. He will make out a projection of, we can save you X amount of dollars in energy, and you can take those energy savings and put it toward buying new equipment. That's kind of their spiel for things, saying that we would spend $700,000 in energy. Well, they'll take 300,000 of that and put it into improvements. So if that makes, whoa, went one too far. His deal is he said there's a projected baseline of, say, we're spending, I forget, does that say 9 million, 9.5 million, and then they would guarantee that they could get it down to 6.7 and save us money, and that money will go toward fixing up and making new projects. Their actual company does the entire thing. So their engineers design it, their company oversees it. We could use anybody we wanted as subcontractors. They will hire them as long as they meet their specifications. They do not, their big thing, and you can see it in black, is no change orders. So once they give you a price on something, that's what the price is going to be. There's not going to be, well, we've got to add, $3,000 for this or $3,000 for that. So it's a long-term solution to basically getting us into the future, or not into the future, but into the, I don't know what words I'm looking for, but catching us up, if that makes sense. See, I think that's, I don't know what all I got on there now. I'm hitting Tokyo right now, ain't I? Yeah, okay. I know I went through that really quick, but basically, like I said, we get them up here. They do gather all of our data. They go to the on-site. Then they do a presentation to us, and then we can decide, or you can decide as a board, what would you like to do, and then they're going to jump into the construction and the commissioning, it's something that the way he explained it, and I don't understand this, but the way he explained it is they can come up with money through grants and things like that will help us to do some more modifications to our systems. So we're not locked into anything, meaning if we do all of this and we don't feel like that it's worthy to make those changes, then we walk away from it. So it's not like some of them that they want you to sign into a contract up front. So this is kind of really simple. But questions on, I'll try to answer for what I know.
There's two schools.
No, he'll do every school. Every school, yep. He'll do everything in our, or all the schools, all the buildings. And you will have a report that tells you exactly what we've got and what they recommend.
The Board of Education be included as well?
Yes, yes. Yep. And you'll be surprised how much old stuff we have. We have a lot of stuff that needs to be updated. I don't know on the financial part, and he said that he works with, like Chad, to work on the financial part of it, and work on the grants and stuff. So we'll kick that over to Chad and let him deal with that part.
No upfront money
None.
to do the design or
No.
just the assessment of our entire.
They're going to assess it. He said, look at the assessment as I'm trying to get your business. And he said, so it does not cost anything for him to assess everything. And it's going to take them a while. I mean, it'll take them close to 2 months to get this done. So they're banking that they're going to find something that we're going to like and go for it from there. All right.
So, Mr. Alley, appreciate you sharing that with us. Brings up a topic that does need to be considered, and that's maintenance of our facilities. I mean, we've got several buildings and facilities that, and over time, they do nothing but wear out.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that the thought of doing an assessment, nothing against your department, but some of this from an engineering standpoint can get a little bit more involved.
Right.
Board members would just say on something like this that we probably would need a little bit more information from the gentleman that you spoke of there in his company, because there's a couple of things that I see, Mr. Markham, you could confirm that my line of thinking on this is correct, but we have some discretion for hiring engineering professional services to do buildings and things of that nature when we start a project. But then when you get into the project itself, then there is some competitive bidding that has to take place. So if I'm not mistaken, something like this we would have to make sure that if it even got that far, that you'd have to make sure that we're not coming in here promising something or giving the appearance that, hey, if your firm is going to come in here, you make these recommendations and y'all just go with it, that we just remove ourselves of the responsibility of procuring the way we're supposed to in the bidding process. That's something that comes to mind too, but just for me, I would want to see a little bit more, because I mean, I understand, I mean, this is a great way for engineering firms to sell their services, and we might be the beneficiary of their expertise, but we probably would need to have a little bit more have a broader conversation about how we would approach this.
I do not. I have asked, and there's some kind of system that. And Chad, do you understand what he's talking about, to be able to do all of that work within their company? Do you understand how he says that they do this as school systems everywhere? Mm-hmm. Right.
Board members, next month, Part of the reason this is coming up, Mr. Alley's scheduled next month to share with you kind of a state of the union as far as our buildings and grounds are concerned. And so that's where this is kind of coming out of. If it pleases the board, I can set up that meeting. Maybe Mr. Buckner could come next month and present and explain exactly in more detail what they do, and perhaps that'll give us more time to talk with Chad and about the procurement process and what that looks like, and have all those answers at that time.
So just a thought. If we were to do a state of the district as far as maintenance goes next month, but then yet we follow that up, somebody's going to come in and do an assessment, would it not be prudent for us to, if somebody will come in and do an assessment at no cost to the district, as long as there's no commitment to use their services, cursory look, then that might help. I don't know, Mr. Alley, that'll be your responsibility, so I'm not sure how if you think it would be better to, if it could be more for a board, more informative, us to maybe push yours back a month to give you guys a chance to work through that and maybe have more information to share.
I think we could. I think that we could do that, and if you might possibly move it back too, and let me get him to send you all a bunch of. He wanted to send me a lot of stuff, and I said, well, we'll wait and deal with that with the board members. So let me get him to see if he can't send you a projection and some things that's a little more detailed. And like I said, Mr. Deacon actually could present it, or we can get Mr. Buckner to come up next month and present it. And then I will go from there after he does his assessment, if you approve on it, and then we can do our State of Union after that.
Board members, y'all have any thoughts, comments on that? Okay, so let's be clear on, so we understand where we're going with this. And I'm sorry, what was the gentleman's name again?
Ben Buckner.
Mr. Buckner, okay. So either Mr. D or Mr. Alley will work on coordinating and engaging with Mr. Buckner and to do a cursory assessment and be able to, and then with the intent of using that information to come back to us then in November for a state of the district as far as maintenance goes. Is that what we're all hearing? Okay. All right, well then that can be your action item for leaving here tonight. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Hey, can you give us an update on Dole?
Yes, I've got that in. Right now, Doyle, the foundation wall is complete. They've got the first layer of block laid. We picked out brick color for the exterior veneer. Made a slight change for a little kick out at the end. There was an adjustment to the wall, but they've got that figured out. We're adding a water spigot to the outside that they currently don't have out there. But I think that's about where we are right now. So looking forward to seeing the blocks coming up pretty quickly here. Should masons be on site, and should start seeing the walls form pretty quickly.
All right, thank you. Anything else for maintenance? Ms. Douglas, do you have anything for maintenance?
No, sir, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, just want to make sure that we're still connected. All right, going on to next will be our budget report. Mr. Smith.
The following reports presented detail the financial position of White County School System for the periods ending July 1 and August 31, 2025. The months of July and August mark the first 2 months of the fiscal year, but due to the 2025 accounting period close process, the July report was delayed and is therefore being presented here along with the August report. July tends to be light on both revenue and expenditures as compared to a typical month. During this month, most funds have little to no revenue collections. Of note in the July report is the $600,876 increase in revenues in the General Purpose School Fund for July 2025 versus July 2024. This increase is due to the $640,377.20 received from the state of Tennessee as part of the Tennessee Education Freedom Act's provision to provide a $2,000 one-time bonus to eligible educators. This one-time revenue infusion from the state will continue to skew the county's revenue comparison for the remainder of the fiscal year, but it will be much less evident in later months. Also of note are the several accounts with no activity during the month, thus showing a zero balance. This too will change as we move forward in the fiscal year. The August report shows a marked increase in activity for the three school funds. Revenues during the month are filling in as the county collects its first local option sales tax payment for the year, and the state of Tennessee makes its first TISA payments for the school year 25-26. Sales tax collections for the month are relatively stable and appear to be showing signs of normalizing. Also of note is the small decrease in TISA revenue during this month. The county's TISA payment for the month of August 2025 was $14,955 less than August of 2024. This is a trend that will continue to be monitored in the coming periods. In both July and August reports, the Central Cafeteria Fund shows a negative estimated ending fund balance. However, this is due to several large blanket purchase orders that are issued for the school year and does not reflect what will happen in the long term. The Central Cafeteria Fund has several significant upfront costs at the beginning of the fiscal year for items such as food and food preparation products, which are ordered for the start of the school year. This fund cannot capture the revenue needed to offset these expenditures until later in the year, as the claims for reimbursement are filed monthly. This poses the potential to create a cash flow issue for the Central Cafeteria Funds if they're not managed appropriately. Fortunately for White County, this program has enough funds in reserve to cover these upfront costs while waiting on reimbursement from the USDA. Overall, the school system appears to be off to a good start financially for fiscal year 2026.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any questions regarding our budget report for this month? Okay. If not, then we'll move on to the next one is our budget amendments and transfers. There were several items in your packet that were presented in a high-level view. We started receiving our money for our federal programs that were coming in, so this will get those in the ledger appropriately for what we budgeted. There was a decrease in some funds that were projected for CTE. They were projected higher than what they actually came in at, and so that also is included in there. There are some state funds that were received and also need to be properly ledgered in the account. And then one thing that we missed during the budgeting process, and that is for the district to fund the after-school program. The second year of that we lost from federal funds last year. So if you recall, last year leading up into school year, we had to make a decision on what we were going to do with the schools that were providing that program, but where we were not awarded funding for that based on the 2-year cycle that's on, and we chose to fund the programs. And so going through and reviewing the budget, that those funds came from our general purpose school fund last year, and would be expected if we were going to continue the programs to do that again this year. But we have to, as a board, approve those funds to be used for that program in the same manner as we did last year. So I'll let Mr. D expand on that, on that or any and all of those amendments?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So on that particular issue, 141 school, general purpose school fund, this is, the board had discussed back during the budget process about funding the 4 schools that were not funded under the 21st Century Grant as they had last year. I think in that process, Ms. Alley had held off of putting them in the budget while the board discussed what was going to happen, and then it just didn't get in the budget, and so I didn't catch that either. So obviously we are running those programs. The board voted to pay for those, but we didn't have them in the budget, unfortunately. So that's an amount of $178,525, and thanks to Ms. Griffith for her hard work to get that number down to where it was. I think we were well over $200,000 when we first started talking about that. So this runs the program well, and thanks to our staff and site coordinators and making sure that they run it efficiently and cost effectively. So we apologize for that wasn't in the budget. It should have been back in May and June, but this will cover those 21st century classrooms that were not covered by the grant. The vast majority of the others are federal funds that have finally come in. As Ms. Felton has shared with us before, when we do the budget, we have state budgets, but the federal dollars, we just have placeholders until about this time of year, and then the majority of those start to filter in. So all of our title funds and these 142 funds that you see, that's what they are. So I'll be glad to answer any questions, or Ms. Felton is here as well on those budget amendments.
Will remind me and maybe others that might have forgotten, the 4 schools that did not receive those fundings, was that Park?
Finley, Bondycroft, and middle school.
Okay, did we decide not to pursue the middle school?
Yeah, we changed the middle school programming to mainly a tutoring program, so it was very targeted as to people that needed to be there, so it's really not just open to everybody. They weren't having the results there, so it was another cost savings to ever pedal that back a little bit.
And am I wrong in thinking that when we apply for these grants in the future, that all schools will be under the same contract, correct?
They'll be under the same application
Same
should we get it,
Okay.
yes.
And is there a reason we shouldn't get it?
There was no reason in my eyes why we didn't get it this time. So there's
I
no rhyme or
agree.
reason, but they giveth and they taketh away, and so
And those are federal funds coming from the federal government, correct?
correct.
Okay. Yeah, make some sense out of them anyway.
So I got a question, which I'm pretty sure it's been asked before, but does somebody get an itemized list for the instructional materials and supplies? Do we have to show an itemized list?
But with that being said, every one of those is accompanied by a purchase order, which will include the specific items that were purchased.
Miss Alley was on top of it.
Yes.
Excuse me, does this mean that when we presented the budget to the county commissioners, we was $178,000 off?
In essence, yes. And so, but this will be transferred from our savings account, so it won't be additional money we'll be asking the county for. It'll just be transferring from our bank account into the active budget.
Can Mr. Markham tell us how much we have in our savings account now? Have we already taken out the bonuses, the extra bonuses that we was gonna give? Thank you.
Any other questions regarding budget amendments, transfers? Okay, if not, we'll move on to next item, and is our personnel report. We're presented with personnel report in our packet that showed the transfers and terminations and new hires coming in. Seems like this is a busy season for substitute teachers and people in substituting for food nutrition. Any questions on any of our personnel report?
Are we having trouble finding substitute teachers as far as classroom-wise, or is Ms. Sads, are you having any trouble finding nutrition subs?
We are not having trouble finding substitute teachers right now. Occasionally, it's a struggle to find cover some maternity leaves, but I think even those are covered at the moment. But we don't have a problem in the classroom. School nutrition seems to be doing well. You know, they run into a little hiccup every now and then, but they seem to get it covered. So, in fact, we've had good luck of moving some of those substitutes into some permanent roles as of late.
Good.
So I noticed that we normally have a big turnover, it seems, here lately for our janitorial staff. Do you know if are we all covered there now?
Yes, yeah, we've had good luck of finding. We have had several applicants. We're able to interview those folks and get replacements when they come open.
Right. Any other questions regarding our personnel report? Okay, and then the last thing is our threat assessment report. We presented with this threat assessment report up through the 29th of August. There may be some updates to that from this afternoon.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I reached out to our behavior specialist, Mr. Bumbelow, had him follow up on this. They were showing several, well, 2 or 3 of these that were still open cases. 2 of those 3 have been closed. The third one is just not closed because we're waiting on some information from a physician. So, and that student is not in the school right now, so not a threat to anybody. So we're just waiting for that documentation to close that one out. So no threats that are open right now.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding our threat assessment report? Okay, then one thing, board members, that failed to properly coordinate in your packet, however you were given this information on your weekly update, but you have a draft of the MOU between us and the White County Sheriff's Department for the Central View property. You have a hard copy to review as well, so that is a budget item tonight. Just apologize for not having that document in the folder, but was again, it was sent in your packet, or excuse me, your weekly update. So we can visit that item at the proper time in our regular meeting, but just wanted to let you know that that document is available to you and you can review for discussion then. Then as we go through and look at the remaining part of our agenda for tonight's meeting, the survey for the fire hall property at Bondycroft, so there is a preliminary sketch, points laid out for a property that would be considered deeding over to an entity that would be then have we would be turning loose control of that part of the property for the fire department's use, as was requested last week. We just have to give a cursory approval of the of what was shared with us on this plat tonight. It will have to go to the County Planning Commission for their approval, and then there will have to be some coordination on what entity this property would actually be going to. It will not be going to an individual. It will be going to a properly vetted organization that the fire department, I guess, is looking into. So that will be something that will happen at the county administrative level, And then once that gets satisfied, then it will come back to us for actual, our approval for deeding that land over. So just make you aware, will be just something that we'll take a vote on approving the plat that's presented, but it's pending several approvals before that would go on. But the Planning Commission would just need our approval that yeah, we're considering doing that, and for them to take a look at it. So more administrative than actually taking action on anything. Okay. Any other questions, comments during this time? We do have a new member for our board, student representative. Was unfortunately not able to be here tonight for prior commitment. Are you going to make that introduction during your student report? Yeah. Okay. That'd be great, and so we're looking forward to having that announced during our meeting. So looking forward to our student reports. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn our work session and start our regular board meeting at 6 o'clock. Thank you. So got our 2-minute warning, and we will start our meeting. If I could have your attention, I'd like to call the September 11th meeting of the White County Board of Education to order. I'd like to welcome everyone tonight, but before we begin with our pledge and the business at hand, I'd like for us to pause and consider this moment in time. Today is a very somber day for our country. From the events that took place 24 years ago, claiming the lives of first responders and victims in New York, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C., to the lives of those lost in the tragedies at Charlotte and Utah in the recent weeks, and locally for the unfortunate accident that took place last week affecting families of our community. Would you please join me in a moment of silence as we reflect on the gift of life and our responsibility to society and our fellow man to promote the value of life and show respect for those whose time came too soon. So if you would, join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. This time I'd like to, if you please stand, and ask Mr. Jason McDonald to lead us in pledge. Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Before we can consider approving tonight's agenda, please note the following, that Tennessee Code to Annotate and Board Policy 1400 states that every meeting of the board is open to the public except where law allows for a closed session. The board meetings are posted on the district website at www.whitecoastschools.net at least 3 days prior to each meeting. State statute requires that each meeting agenda include an item for public comment. A sign-up sheet has been made available prior to the beginning of each meeting. Individuals who signed up prior to the start of the meeting to speak will be recognized in the order listed on the sign-up sheet, and at that point in the agenda designated for public comment. Board meetings are streamed with the help of our central office technology staff for live or recorded viewing. Links are provided on the district website, and attending or speaking during tonight's meeting implies consent for comments and appearances to be used. With that said, we'll move into our next item on our agenda, and that is conflict of interest. If there is any board member that have a conflict of interest of any item on our proposed agenda, please let that be known at this time.
Mr. Chairman, as I do each and every month, no conflict of interest for me tonight on anything on the agenda. Just public record that my wife is a teacher in this district, and the opinions and things that are stated by me tonight are my thoughts and my thoughts alone, and have the best interest of this the students in this district at heart.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald.
Mr. Chairman, My husband works for the school system. At this moment, I don't have a conflict of interest. My opinions are mine and mine alone.
Thank you, Ms. Officer.
Likewise, my wife works for the White County High School, and the comments and opinions and thoughts that I may share are mine.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So, Ms. Sims, please let the minutes reflect that Mr. McDonald, Ms. Officer, and Mr. Smith all indicated they have spouses that work for the district, but nothing on the proposed agenda at this time would constitute a conflict of interest for them. So with that, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, and that is consent agenda. Including our consent agenda is approval for the board minutes, meeting minutes, and work session minutes from our August 14th meeting. We did not have any.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. You
Yes, sir.
forgot the approval of the agenda for this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. So let's back up. Board members, we have an agenda in front of us for consideration for approval. So I entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. McDonald. Thank you. Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Smith. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Ms. Douglas. Opposed? Motion passes. All right, next, our consent agenda. So we have seven items on our consent agenda that are consistent each meeting. One is approval of our board meeting minutes from August, both our board meeting and our work session. A policy report, which there was no policy report items. We did have a maintenance report tonight with a presentation by Mr. Alley. Budget report was given. There was budget transfers and amendments that were presented that were reviewed to appropriate federal funds and state funds for programs as those monies have been received, and a personnel report and our threat assessment report. So those items are in our consent agenda, and if that's what they include. Does any board member wish to remove any item for separate discussion in our consent agenda? Okay, if not, and there's no objection, the consent agenda will be adopted by unanimous vote as presented. Next item on our agenda is memorandum of understanding between the White County School System and the White County Sheriff's Department for utilization of the Central View property for training purposes. Board members, you were presented with information, a draft of that memorandum of understanding. This is for us to review, and if any edits or changes need to be made, or you have a question for our director, let that be known at this time. Otherwise, we will consider approval of this MOU that would go into effect October 1st.
Mr. Drumberger or Mr. Chairman, I have a quick question. And I like the fact that you've integrated this in with this MOU of the 1 year duration. I like the fact that at any time we can give 90 days notice to reclaim that property for our use. I think that's something that needs to stay year to year, and I don't want to see us do a multi-year agreement. I think it needs to be something that we visit each year, preferably in August, as we're doing now. So I appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question. If we foresee that we might need the use of Central View School, and it says 90 days notice, could we give them 90 days notice while we're still in the midst of that year? Okay, because, you know, school, in time for the beginning of a school year?
Yes, ma'am. 90 days notice at any point in time on the calendar. Notice that if you look through the MOU specific about the use of the property, again, as noted, service building and reclamation clause in there, so the property remains the district's property, and we reserve rights to reclaim as at our discretion. Maintenance will be maintenance and facility responsibilities. That will be incurred by the Sheriff's Department, as well as insurance and liability. And then, again, just as we have a right to reclaim, they also have the right to terminate the MOU as well. So it is a mutually agreeable MOU. And this MOU would supersede any other agreements or things implied orally at any previous time. So this would start fresh in October.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Does
ma'am.
that mean the Sheriff's Department is going to do the maintenance on the building? I know it's in need of painting, and there is a few windows out. Have they agreed to fix those, or is that still our responsibility?
Would you like to speak to that, Mr. T?
Yes, that's in Section 4, the Sheriff's Department shall be solely responsible for all maintenance, repairs, utility upkeep, or other financial obligations associated with its portion of the property during the term of the MOU.
That doesn't mean we can ask them to renovate the facility, but they would be responsible for use and how they would want the facility to present itself.
I guess my next question will be for Chad. Chad, on the insurance and liability on that building, I know the building will still belong to the school system, the property still belongs to the school system, but are all of our buildings under a different insurance policy through the county? Or do we fall under the same as the courthouse and all of the other county buildings that the county owns? So would we transfer the liability and the insurance from that building to the Sheriff's Department's policy, or would that still be under us? Okay. All right. Thank you.
We had a tenant once before, and the school system retained the insurance on that, and as we're retaining rights to the building should we ever need it again. So it is part of that whole blanket of buildings that are, or that policy of all the buildings that the school holds. But it's a good question. But I would imagine if we're going to retain the rights to ownership, they would retain the insurance rights as well. But a good question to raise potential risk if they're going to be doing activities that might violate that policy. So that's something we'll have to explore.
Ms. Douglas, do you have any questions or comments? All right. She said she had no questions. Couldn't hear that. All right. So with that, if there's no further discussion, anything that we need to clarify on this MOU, then I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Fowler. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Smith. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next item on our agenda is a survey for the Fire Hall property on Bondycroft. As you know, last meeting it was requested that we consider deeding over the property which the Volunteer Fire Department building is located, which is on the property that we have with Bondycroft School. And so coming out of our meeting, we looked for to get a proposal for what that would actually look like from a surveyed plat standpoint. Mr. Markham secured Christopher Vick out of Cookville to put a plat together, approximately 1.08 acres for their facility. And so the process, the way this would work is that with this plat, we would motion or make motion and approve the plat. That would be the area that we would be willing to give up. But this would have to go to the county's planning commission for approval. And then after that, it would have to go to the county to work out who this property, what entity this property would be going to, because under no circumstances would it be deeded over to an individual. It will have to be deeded over to an entity, whether that entity is established now or will have to be established. That's something that's would fall with the fire department and the county to work that out. So, so what we're doing is just we're approving this plat. It would circle back to us to actually approve the transfer. So it would be a two-step process. Anything I'll leave out on that, Mr. D?
No, that's right. Tonight, the board would just be approving to proceed with the process. It'll go to the planning commission. Mr. Markham says then it'll go to a steering committee because they will have to determine who the entity would be, and then it would come back for final approval before this board.
Would that entity have to be a 501c3 entity?
Or something of the like. Yeah, it wouldn't be an individual.
Okay.
We know how the other volunteer fire departments are structured relative to being able to accept this.
Well, they're currently, I think, in the same format as Bondycroft, except with the exception of one that has an active 501c3.
That may start a trend for our volunteer fire departments.
And I just want to be clear for the board and the public, the reason that this is coming about is the Bondycroft Fire Department wants to enhance that property. They want to apply for some grants. They want to just make that a better facility and for the safety of the community. And they can't do that as long as it's in the school board's name. And so that's why this is transpiring, and that's the motivation behind all this. So we want to do that for the benefit of the community, in Bondycroft community. So we think it's a good thing to try and help them to improve their facilities and improve the safety for the community at Bondycroft.
Mr. Chairman, I would, in the absence of Ms. Douglas not being here, and this being her district, I would make a motion that we approve this plat to send to the Planning Commission for them to study and then bring back to us for final approval to deed this over to the entity that is so noted by the County Commission.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. McDonald to proceed with the process of the plat as presented to us to proceed with that to the County Planning Commission. To have a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Fowler. Any discussion?
I do have a question. The septic drain field, I'm assuming that's from the school, right?
The area you see in green, the septic area, that's actually the tank area for the fire hall. And it actually extends out into the southern portion of that lot of base.
Go to the next one. It's the next picture.
Yeah, the septic field, I think that extends out from both directions, actually, so into the school area. So there, we might have to have some easement there for
Okay.
there. So, that'll be noted on the plat, if there's an easement there. And there's also the gas line kind of goes to and fro, and there's
I
an
saw that.
easement there. So that'll be noted on the plat if there's any utility easements that need to be
Okay.
made.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item on our agenda, welcome back our student representative report. So Ms. Sackett joining us for her second year here on the board, and so we look forward to hearing your report tonight. So Ms. Sackett.
Thank you. Well, first off, I'm really excited to be able to introduce someone who's actually not in attendance tonight, but I'm very excited to have Callie Odell serve alongside me as the junior representative on the school board. She is very excited about it, and I know that she has a very strong, articulate voice that she plans on, using to represent our students. And whether I was working with her through Move to Stand or student council, or attending Tennessee Strong Together, or really just being close friends, she truly is great, and I know that she'll bring a lot to the board and has the interest of our students in the forefront of her mind. And it's still pretty early in school, but our seniors are working closely with our AIRS Foundation, which is new to the high school this year, but we are very much grateful for them. I know I can personally say that they've made me feel so confident in my post-secondary readiness. So being able to work with them, and I know that they had every student in the every senior fill out their Tennessee Promise application within a month, so that's great, and every student can say that they have a backup plan. Whether that's their plan or their backup plan, they've got a plan after high school, so that's great. Our student council has been meeting and planning a homecoming, so we're excited to announce the theme this Friday. And teachers, if you're listening, you can tune in on Friday to Warrior announcements and get a free yurt drink. And our Move to Stand students and our Warriors for Wellness students, we worked with Carrie and, oh dang it, I can't remember his name. But we worked with them, and we got to make a plan for our Warriors for Wellness program this year, working with the elementary school students and not actually having to travel to each elementary school, but figuring out a plan to just have one day, or I think we're deciding on 2 days where we're going to get to have them just come to us. So that's going to work a lot better and takes a lot of time, gives us a lot of time back to actually being in class. And we're very excited. I know Callie's super excited. And I want to close with inviting everybody to the Breakfast at the Barn on September 20th. All you can eat pancakes, superior auction items. You can see me. We have a new officer team, and we're really excited for this year. It's my favorite event that we put on, so I'd like to extend the invitation to everybody.
Thank you, Ms. Sackett. Any questions for Ms. Sackett regarding our student representative report? All righty, and look forward to Ms. Odell joining us next month. Next time on our agenda is our district update, so we'll turn over to Mr. Traumberger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Overall, the status of the school district is good. White County Fair has come and gone. This can often be a sketchy week in the schools, but this year the reports were that all things went fairly well. I want to thank our local fair board for their hard work in providing another great local fair for our community and for their partnership with our schools. Personnel reports in your folders. We're currently seeking a high school SPED teacher, which will be hard to find, but we still have a good contingency plan in place. Legislatively, I met with State Representative Sherrill recently to discuss the upcoming session of the General Assembly. I appreciate the support that our school system has from our state legislators and their willingness to sit down and talk with me and us at our request. Academically, we're still celebrating the district's level 5 status on academic growth. In the coming months, we expect to receive school letter grades and teacher level of effectiveness scores, or what we call LOEs. Those should be coming out in the next month or two. On the safety front, we've partnered with the Sheriff's Department. Mr. Haley is working with our SROs to provide gun safety presentations for all students as required by new state law. Information was issued to parents, or will be issued to parents. Ms. Rust, has that gone out yet? Tomorrow afternoon, parents will get information about that, and that will include a link to the training materials. But we're excited to have our SROs be leading that training for our safety presentation for our students. Financially, our financial status in the school system is on track and looking good. We've received the majority of our federal funding, as you've heard tonight. We're budgeting those funds and assigning them to the specific personnel and programs. Athletically, elementary basketball has begun. Yippee, is in full swing. WCHS volleyball picked up a big win this week. The White County High School football team defeated the team from up north last Friday, and I think travels to Tullahoma tomorrow. So congratulations to all those folks. Building projects, the foundation block has been laid at Doyle Elementary. The brick color has been selected. New playground equipment is being installed at the Bonnycroft Pre-K playground. A major water leak was fixed very quickly and efficiently by our maintenance crews at White County High School this week, and thanks to all their hard work. And at this time, I think that completes my director's report. Be glad to answer any questions that you have.
All right, do we have any questions for our director? Thank you for that thorough report and good update. All right, if no questions, then we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, and that's public comment per our policy 1400. All meetings, 1404, all meetings require us to have an agenda item for public comment, but there's no one that has signed up to speak on any of our items on our agenda tonight. So, okay, so you want to speak on an item on our agenda? Okay, all right. So Mr. Officer has asked to speak on item on our agenda. So board members, unless there's an objection, I will allow Mr. Officer 5 minutes.
Okay. Thank you for letting me speak, and I appreciate you what you do. I know it's hard to be on the board and dealing with employees and dealing with all the budgets that you've got to deal with. I sympathize with you. I know a little bit about what you're going through. The item I wanted to talk about was the counselor pay. You know, there's been a lot of confusion about it. We were told that we were going to get it, and then, you know, later on we found out that we weren't after the paychecks were submitted, or we received our paychecks. And you know, we've always signed a teacher contract ever since I've been an educator for over 23 years. We do teacher duties. We, you know, stay after school and do what teachers are required to do. Our evaluations, you know, depending on whether you're middle or elementary or high, you know, your evaluations are a little bit different. We don't go into the classroom, but we do have direct contact with students every day. Our offices are often filled with students one at a time because of the nature of middle and high school. That's how we deal with our students. Occasionally we meet with them in large groups, but most time we're dealing with them one-on-one. To be able to do the teacher evaluation, where like the classroom teachers do, would require an administrator in the office with us. And oftentimes we're dealing with sensitive information that I don't think parents or anybody would want to have disclosed in an evaluation. It's also my understanding that there are some folks that did get the bonus that operate similarly to the way we do on the similar evaluation, but you know, we didn't. You know, I don't know why that is. I know that all the counselors I've worked with, I've worked at middle and high both. We love our kids. You know, we work hard at what we do, and it's just really disheartening that we were left out. At any rate, I appreciate, you know, your time listening to me. I'm thankful for the $500 that we did get, and you know, I do appreciate all y'all's hard work.
Thank you, Mr. Officer. All right. Next item on our business, on our agenda is new business. There was an item in our packet that should have been in old business, new business item, and that's regarding director's travel. Mr. D, I'll allow you to speak to that. You can articulate that, what that conference is about.
Yes, thank you. This came up after the agenda was and the materials were set, but as part of the McKinney-Vento grant that we receive for homelessness in our community, my wife, who oversees that, is required to go to the national conference. It's the National Association on the Education of Homelessness for Children and Youth. I think it says NACCE conference. And that's in Dallas, Texas, the 1st of November. And she has asked that I would accompany her in that trip. Because the conference, the grant pays for her registration and the hotel, it'd be very minimal cost for me to go. Basically, the flight down there and maybe a couple meals. Approximately $500, I think, is what it would cost. I think it's good for me as a director to go. I'd also like to accompany my wife to a major city far away that she doesn't want to go by herself. But I can take the vacation time to do it, but I would be working, and I would only miss really one day of school. The second day that I would be out was a Tuesday, and that is election day, so we don't have students that day. So it'd be a good time for me to be away. So rather than use vacation time to do that, I would be working, and I think it'd be good information for me to gain as well on homelessness and the grant itself. So I'm asking for permission to use about $500 approximately of my travel funds to accompany her to the National Homeless Conference.
Okay. Questions, comments on the request? The request is that we pick up the expenses for our director's travel portion to attend that conference.
So
Airfare
just
and-
clarification, are you attending the conference or simply working remotely
I
during
will
that time?
probably a little of both. The conference fees are pretty high, so I was going to save the district that amount. I could probably sneak into a few, and I plan to until I get caught. But my plan is to participate and be a part of that. But it is about $850, I think, for the conference fees, which is crazy. But I think I would like to just be a part of that on the fly on the wall if I can. But regardless, I can do a lot of emails and phone calls while I'm there, and I'll be working and be glad to log those hours.
I'd make a motion, we approve it.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. McDonald for approval of travel expense for Mr. Trombarger to attend the National Homeless Conference in Dallas in November 25th. First and second of no.
Bob, he was trying to say November of 2025. That's what
Yeah,
Bob's
thank
trying to
you.
say.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the 3rd and 4th.
Third-
4th
third
is the
and
election day, so we'll actually leave on Saturday the 1st, but I will miss the 3rd and 4th,
Okay,
Monday
so
and Tuesday.
travel and allow him to work remote on the 3rd and 4th. So have a motion to have a second. Second by Ms. Fowler. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-1.
Thank you.
All right, next item on our business is old business. Board members, there's 2 old business items that put on our agenda tonight. We'll take the first one on the list, and that's discussion of the Education Freedom Act that was part of our state legislature's work this past spring. Coming out of that legislation, the state funded a one-time teacher's bonus based on criteria that the state set. It was intended for teachers, and I think as we all realize that teachers can be used. People can be teachers, on a teacher contract, or been a teacher and working in different aspects of the educational process. But the state, when they passed that and said they were going to pay this bonus to teachers, they were very specific about the educators that were eligible to receive this bonus. It was not. If they had any, it was probably very limited input from any districts, anybody that had a stake in this. It was something that they made in the halls of legislation in Nashville. And there's code, Tennessee code, as far as what defines a teacher or existing educator that would be eligible to receive this bonus. And so we as a district, we had the option to either participate or not participate in that, and we, through resolution, said that we would agree that we would pay the bonus as it was stated by the Department of Education. So basically saying we will pay the $2,000 to those that were eligible to receive that based on their definition of what an educator is for these purposes. So, take you back to May 29th of 2025 from our board meeting. That was brought up, and that was part of our discussion because we had to, in the budget process, we had to make a determination, one, that make sure that those funds were included in this year's budget. But then we had the opportunity to say if we wanted to do something else, that we had debate over that. And during the course of the discussion of that budget item, it was presented to us. It was presented as a recommendation to pay licensed administrators and other district-wide personnel not part of that, the Tennessee Department of Education's definition of a teacher. It was presented that we include those, but that motion, the motion to remove that from our budget was made and seconded. And through the course of budget amendments, what came out of that, as a district, we agreed to pay all employees a $500 bonus who did not receive the $2,000 bonus. Per the legislation coming out of Nashville, we had no obligation to pay any more than what the state was requiring us to pay for those teachers. However, after significant debate, several motions and several motion failures, but ultimately a motion that was agreeable by the board, we did include that bonus to others who did not receive any, who were on track to not receive any money at all. So that was the action we took, and understand that that was a complicated time in trying to communicate what our employees in the district should expect, teachers specifically, because the state was not clear with their final definition of what a teacher was till later in June. So there was ample time for something to be presented, and then it get revised and ultimately have a final verdict on what the eligible educators, what those definitions were. And so that took place. So the reason this is on for discussion tonight is for us as a board to say, make sure we understand, if we got questions, how that played out, what actions we took, and in my mind, if there was any potential for somebody that should have received the funds based on how they were classified in 24 and 25, the 24-25 year, if that might have gotten missed if they changed positions during the course of last year versus where they are this year. For the record, the state, working with their administrations, they did 3 rounds of tests to qualify to make sure that what we were showing as those that would qualify to receive this bonus matched up with what their records showed. And with the final version coming out in, I think it was the middle of June, when that last reconciliation of positions came about. So state went through working with our central office to make sure that we were those that were eligible and met the criteria, that that they got the $2,000 bonus. And then we, as a board, budgeted during that same payout period, we budgeted $500 bonus for the others who did not meet that criteria. And so there had been some calls, as Mr. Officer explained, maybe some confusion on that standpoint, but wanted to bring it up just to say that's what we decided. That's the action that we took when we were considering that matter. So just want to make sure that we understood what we were doing.
Mr. Young, I've got a question. I was reading over this, and on this section 3, it says, please note that a teacher, and then it says, including pre-K, interventionists, school counselors, librarians, media, and other roles, but I don't see where it gives that thing that we had talked about, that they had to be in front of the students that length of time. Where is that listed in here that they have to be in front of students?
Yeah, there was a update, and unfortunately, they came out and verbally, the state said that they were going to include. First of all, I want to say that, as I've said before, I wish every person that had a certificate, a teaching certificate, would have received the bonus. I've said that before. I'll say it again. I can make an argument for our counselors, our coaches, our principals, our supervisors, who were all left out in that mix. But then later, after they verbally told us that in the meeting, they came back with a memo, which from June of 25, and on the second page, they note that, please note that a teacher in TN Compass includes a wide variety of roles with direct supports to students, including pre-K teachers, interventionists, school counselors, library media specialists, and other roles. Categories excluded from this list are instructional supervisors and administrators. And then the next line says, aligned to the statutes and rules detailed above, to be eligible for the bonus, an educator must also, and it's delineated, spend a majority of their day in direct services students, be employed more than 120 days, and be in full employment time status. So from that calculation, the state pulled their records to determine who is doing that. And they have records of what students are tied to them and what classes. So they sent us a list and said, here's who we determine are your teachers. And then they had some false and true qualifiers, whether you're a partial year exemption, more than 120 days, and more than 50% of the day in front of students. So they sent us the list and said, here's who we say are your teachers, prove us wrong. So we had to go back 2 or 3 times and verify that their list was true. So, like I said, it was the state's definition. I'm not passing the buck, but I am, because this wasn't Kirk Drumbarker or White County Schools or the White County School Board. This was the state of Tennessee, and the argument over, and I disagree with them, but the argument over what a teacher is the definition of the Tennessee Department of Education, which is where that grievance lies. And I will fight to get that changed, but there's a lot of people in this room that are deserving of it and didn't get it. But that, and the email that I sent to those that reached out to me, what I shared with them, my displeasure in this whole thing is that it pit school boards against their employees. It put them in a difficult position. It made people feel unvalued. I think it was hush money to begin with over vouchers. The whole system was wrong. We had teachers that said, we don't want it at all because we think we're being bribed. And then we had other people that said, I want it, and my feelings are hurt because I didn't get it. It was bad all the way around.
It very much was.
And that's something that, although I'm sympathetic to, it needs to be directed towards your legislator and the Tennessee Department of Education.
And I think we need to be addressing the legislators, because these people went to college and got their licensure. That makes them a teacher. And who's to say, like you say, just like Mr. Officer, he has a student in front of him probably a lot of the time. It's just not 30. So that is very vague, and with them getting an email saying, I would have read from this, and when it said counselors, I would have assumed I would have got it too. And so I can see where the confusion was, because it states on this thing, school counselors, but they're saying if you're not in a classroom setting, which is very vague. And I think that the government in this case has done a very disservice to our teachers. And if they hold a licensure, they should have got it. And I wish this board would had the money to give everybody that had held a teacher licensure the money that they well deserve. But I'm a majority of only one. Thank you.
I want to follow up on something that she just said at that, right there at the end. Is there a way that we can get a number on what it would cost this board to give those folks the remaining amount of the money that was left off of that list? And I want to say, Mr. Officer, Ms. Taylor, I appreciate you guys being here tonight. Thank you for, and I'm sorry that we did a disservice to you guys. On my feeling is we did a disservice, and not as this board we did a disservice, but the state did you guys a disservice, and I want to apologize for that. But Mr. D, can you get us a list of who was left off of that, what it would cost us to pursue making up the remainder? I know they got 500, but that'll be another 1,500 that we would give to them. Can you give me, can you get us a list of those folks and what the money would cost this board to be able to make this right in the long run?
I believe we shared that information already. There was approximately 35 people that hold a teacher's license that didn't get that, including a lot of people in this room. You know, $35,000 is going to be $70,000. But I think I remember correctly. Go back and watch the video. But you know, my thought there is okay. You make an exception for those 30 people, and I don't care if I get it at all. But if I make an exception for everybody that holds a teaching license, and the board makes an exception, which you're perfectly in your right mind to do. If I'm a hardworking educational assistant, I'm going to think, well, I work hard too, and now I'm excluded, and you're treating you made an exception for all those people. I just think that's, you know, it puts the board in a really bad position to spend a lot of money that you didn't budget to spend. And not that they're not worthy, I'm just saying that that's the slope that you get on. And I think some of the conversation too was what happens next year when the state says that we're going to give, you know, band directors, I'm just pulling that out of the air, but they want to give them a big raise, and then you're going to feel compelled to match that again. It just sets a precedent, and I think that was some of the conversation that the board had at that time. I can get you whatever number, and again, I want to say I'm for everybody getting that bonus, but this again was bad from the beginning. I take responsibility for any miscommunication that came from my part, but I was just relaying the ambiguous information as it was coming in from the state. But what the board did, the White County School Board didn't pay anybody $2,000. The White County School Board just passed money through from the State Department. But in the White County School Board, in their good grace, saw it to honor everybody with a bonus, so that they felt valued and acknowledged, and I certainly support that and appreciate that. I get you whatever number you'd like, but you know, it was just a difficult situation that the state put all of us in, and I'm sorry for anyone that felt unvalued and unworthy in that process.
Mr. Chairman, if I may ask Mr. D, what's the protocol when it comes to pay increases? Is there and I'll use example at Tech, I get an email from the HR office said, this is your new pay. How does that get relayed to the staff overall if there's a pay increase? In this case, if there was a bonus given, and when would that occur?
So pay increases are on the step scale, which is salary scale, which is posted online. So that's available to everyone to see. This was communicated mainly through email and principals communication during principals meetings about where we were in the process. But it was, like I said, that information was coming in pieces, and then through this forum as well, through the school board.
Any other questions or comments?
Just one more. I think we can all agree how this was handled from Nashville to here could have been better. What we did as a board, I stand behind. The 2 phone calls that I fielded were, one, don't feel valued because I do have a teaching license. I hope I was able to share that that's not the case. But the other concern was the communication. And if we do this again, or the state does this again, we have to be better at that. Just plain and simple, because you're talking about people's money, their livelihood. So.
All right, any other comments? Okay, then we're going to move on to the next item on our old business, and that's discussion of snow day pay for staff. So in our weekly update, Mr. D has brought this up because as board we did not take any action on this prior. So administratively, what he has done is he has allowed those who would otherwise, well, back up. Following proper accounting procedures and laws for accrued time, we're doing away with that and basically giving those that would not receive typically pay for snow days. And where in the past we have come back and supplemented as a board the days for them, giving them opportunity to make up time, accrue time to get that supplement at the end of the year. Mr. D has put in place a plan where these individuals are given the opportunity to work extra time and get paid, compensated for that now. So we will not be having to keep up with their accruals and then trying to rectify those at the end of the year. So that's what he shared with us. I think this is more just to make sure awareness of board that we won't be taking up action on compensating those that are giving people opportunity to make up time towards the end of the year because they were not going to get for the time they missed due to snow. It's handling it on the front end, paying it on the front end. However, if the board wants to change any policy about snow days for those that typically would not get compensated for not working, then I asked Mr. D to put that on our budget list and start the agenda for our budget work session in May of 2026. So that way we don't forget about it. If we want to take any action other than what's in place now, we'll have the opportunity to do that. But right now, it's just for informational purposes that's what's in place. So I'll let you expand on that, Mr. D.
No, you said it well. I know that comes up every year, and it's confusing. And what we had in place was really an improper accounting practice of, keeping up with comp time and then fixing it at the back end. So what we're doing now is a lot of those people are already working extra 15 minutes every day. We're just paying for it right now. And so we've explained to them, your day has been increased for everyone, all of our support staff, that 15 minutes. So they're earning that time now, but they're getting paid for it right now. But when it snows, and there's no makeup. There's no time to make up. You've been working all year, but you've been getting paid all year. But it will mean that those last checks of the summer, if we have 9 snow days, they're going to get 9 days deducted at that time. So that's the correct accounting practice. The board is certainly welcome to rethink that, and as we go into the next budget cycle, we can discuss if there's something different that the board wants to do as far as staff and snow days are concerned. But we thought in lack of any changes, at least we could have a more appropriate accounting practice and bookkeeping practice for their hours at this time.
Can you tell me how we did it before we changed it?
So theoretically, if the comptroller is listening, there might have been, let's say a educational assistant would help with parent dismissal or student dismissal at the end of the day. They would work an extra 15 minutes, and they would bank that and bank that and bank that every single day. And then if we missed 5 days of snow over the course of the year, that 15 minutes is going to equal about 5 days or a little more of time. And so when the board then would say, hey, we're going to forgive 5 days, we're going to let you make up that time, theoretically they've already made it up because they've been working all year long. So not the best accounting practice. But now other folks, maybe food service, they did some things different. They had some days where they could come in and they would work all day on a day that was off, or they would come back in and work extra hours, not just food service, but other people would work extra hours to make up the time that the board has allowed them to make up to 5 days. So what we're doing now is just paying them for that 15 minutes legitimately that they're working right now, and they won't have to make it up later.
So what I've been asked, is there a way where they could actually get the checks in the summer instead of adding it on to the checks now, where they could get the one lump sum?
Well, like I said,
Does it
we
make some
fixed
sense?
that accounting practice to pay for what they're actually working. And that would
Right.
be, I think, going the opposite direction to be paying later for work.
Yeah.
But that's what they've requested
What-
because they feel like the 15 minutes on the, and I mean, I can see, I mean, I was self-employed most of my life, so I didn't have a paycheck like that, but
That's a good point, but I don't think people that run payroll would be able to, I don't think that would be allowed.
One suggestion I can make is as we go into the spring, and we see how many snow days we've had, and the board can consider in the budget process if they want to do something. The board could say, hey, we're going to give you 5 days next year just because, we want to. And that could be on top of the 15 minutes that we're just going to pay you for 5. If the board wanted to, you could pay for all of them, but that number, I think we looked at that, was over $400,000, and that was where because there are districts that pay everybody, everybody just goes home. They shut down their central office and everything, and I'm all for that. But that was a big number, and that in this budget, in this economy, that I think that wasn't palatable to the board. So, but we also talked about with this process, the budget process, moving forward, as we have those step raises in place, and we talk about bonuses, the end of the school year, when we look at our fund, just say, hey, we've got this much money left over, that would be an appropriate time, I think, for the board to say, hey, we want to think about some bonuses here. And at that time, I would say, let's do everybody the same and treat everybody respectfully. But that would be an appropriate time. At the beginning of the year, when you don't know what July is going to look like, or June's going to look like, it's not a great time to think about budgets, or even September. But at the end of this year, that might be a great time to say, hey, you know what? Those counselors are really important, and we can make up some difference, or just a suggestion, but that sort of thing. That might be an appropriate time to look back on some of those things, and maybe some of our support staff that missed X number of snow days at that time. That would be in a more appropriate time, I think, with remaining funds to look at that.
okay, thank you.
Just a suggestion.
Mr. Chairman, do you have available the policy number that goes along with snow days?
It's actually under school year. I think it's in school board in section 1. I have to look at it. I don't know it off the top of my head, but the school year, it'd mean 200 days, and it breaks down the the in-service days.
Mr. McDonald, ask your question again. You asking how many days?
No, what policy in our school board policy manual is it, so that I can go and read that policy for where it talks about the school year, the 200 days, 180 days, the educational system, snow days, all of that stuff. Do you have that available?
1800 is 1.800 is the school calendar.
Okay, board members, that was, that item of business was, as I said, that was informational purposes. Again, we can come back and revisit that later in the year, and we have that noted to come back and visit in our May time period. All right, any other comments on snow days? Okay, if not, then we'll move on to chairman's comments. Our next school board meeting will be on October 9th, 2025, here at the White County Board of Education. We'll have a work session at 5 o'clock and board meeting at 6. And we will get you agendas out on that as the appropriate time. So other than that, it leads us to our last item on our agenda is adjournment. So entertain a motion for adjournment. Motion by Mr. McDonald, second by Ms. Fowler. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.